I don't know.
The name of that group is Citizens for Progress, and that group is associated with Haley Barbour,
wow.
who is...
he's got some answering to do on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Outside the Supreme Court, sidewalks were filled with activists arguing that under Obamacare, family-owned companies can be forced to pay for abortion-inducing drugs and devices. What specific drugs is Hobby Lobby challenging in this case?
So the specific drugs, well, I mean, I don't know brand names, but like sort of birth controls and sort of all contraceptives that are sort of covered under, that are now covered under ACA.
So if you do know the drugs and devices this case is fighting against, can you tell me?
No, I don't think that's important.
Was the Supreme Court right in its decision?
Who knows? Is the Supreme Court right?
Freedom prospers when religion is vibrant and the rule of law under God is acknowledged.
An informed patriot is what we want.
Welcome to Focal Point, the home of muscular Christianity on Conservative Talk Radio. Muscular Christianity, where we relentlessly explore the intersection of truth and politics.
The trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so.
Now, here's your host, Brian Fisher.
Hi, and welcome back to the second hour of this Wednesday edition of Focal Point on AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. Talking in the first hour with Chad Connolly, who is the Director of Faith Engagement for the Republican National Committee, reaching out on behalf of the Republican Party to the evangelical community. Curious as to your reaction to my conversation with him, if you had a chance to hear it, kind of what your feelings are right now toward the Republican Party. A lot of callers expressing a certain amount of dissatisfaction, and I explained to Chad Connolly, look, we need to have the Republican Party hold the line on these social issues or they're going to be gone in 2016. You know, and he was talking about declining voting numbers from 2008, lower in 2012, and I think they're going to get worse in 2016. If they give us a candidate like Chris Christie, I mean, his answer to that question about the Supreme Court ruling on Hobby Lobby, that was absolutely abysmal. And this is a guy that calls himself pro-life, says you got to answer every question directly, and then he's asked direct questions and dodges them. He bobs, he weaves, he doesn't answer the questions. Did the Supreme Court get it right? Who knows? So it passed up an enormous opportunity to strike a blow for sanctity of life and sanctity of religious liberty and all that kind of thing. So, and we're talking about the McDaniel campaign, the number of Hinkie votes. They've up to 3,300 Hinkie votes they found. Remember, the margin was about 6,700 in the runoff. So if they find 6,700 Hinkie votes, then I think that's just a compelling. I mean, at that point, you just have to call another election. You have to do it. I mean, there's just no way you cannot call another election if you have proof that 6,700 of the votes that were cast in that election were invalid. Some of them might have even been cast for McDaniel. It doesn't matter because nobody knows. So you just have to throw them all out, and you just have got to start all over. And McDaniel's saying, look, we haven't even counted half the counties in Mississippi yet. And a lot of them are in the Delta, which is where a lot of this get out the vote, or what Stevie Fielder says is vote buying, or a lot of that went on. They haven't even got to them yet. And they haven't even started in on the absentee ballots, 18,000 absentee ballots. And they expect they'll find some irregularities there. So all that going on. Let's go to the calls, to the phones, as I promised to do. Let's begin with Danny in Mer Rouge, Louisiana. Danny, thank you for calling, and thanks for waiting so patiently. What's on your mind?
Hey, thanks. I didn't catch all of your interview, but so I hope I'm not too far off topic, but I heard you mention it.
Yeah.
Illegal immigration.
Yeah.
And I think the problem can be solved pretty quickly if we encourage our governors and sheriffs to take their constitutional role to protect the borders when the federal government won't. And that's permitted by the Constitution in Article 1, Section 9 and 10. 9 and 10. 8, Section 8 gives the federal government the concern of naturalization.
Right.
But Section 9 and 10 authorizes the states to control immigration and to protect the borders. So I think we're just going to have to encourage our states to do this, our governors and sheriffs, because the federal government's not going to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate what you're saying, Danny, and Danny's exactly right. I mean, there's clear constitutional authority for the federal government to secure the borders. That's a congressional power. that they get to set the rules for naturalization. So that means they get to decide who gets to come in, who doesn't get to come in, who gets to be elevated to citizenship, who doesn't. They get to set all of those rules. It's not the responsibility of the executive branch to set those rules. That's the responsibility, as Danny points out, exclusively of Congress. It's the job of the president and the executive branch to enforce those laws and to implement them, but not to make them up. And that's where when you have the president out there saying, look, yesterday we played the soundbite, I'm just going to act on my own. If I can't get the Republicans to do it, I'm just going to act on my own. He has no constitutional authority whatsoever to do that, as Danny pointed out. Thanks, Danny. I appreciate that call. Let's grab a call from Lee in Plano, Texas. Lee, welcome. What's on your mind?
I wanted to respond to that interview, which I didn't hear all of, with Conley, I think his name was.
Yeah, Chad Connolly, the Director of Faith Engagement for the Republican National Committee.
Yes. As I said, I didn't hear all the interview, but I heard enough to have an opinion there. First of all, you were referring to that interview that you did yesterday with that reporter and the minister there in Mississippi.
Uh-huh.
I listened to it, and I thought, this is amazing that they would actually do that and then deny it and get a lawyer. Well, I hope that minister sticks to his guns, continues to uphold the truth in that. But that right there shows that, no, we can't trust anybody put out there by the GOP that is representing the establishment GOP. We need to concentrate on the grassroots of the GOP. The Tea Party, of course, would be a part of that. And that's what McDaniel represents. We need people who want to restore the rights of the people. And the GOP, represented by Karl Rove and that group, is maybe about a half a notch above the Democrats. And I would, more than that in integrity, but not in, philosophy or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, political philosophy.
Yes, they're too much on the same track. And we definitely need to we need a clean house, get rid of a lot of those guys have been in there too long. The power has overtaken their good sense, their whatever statesmanship they might otherwise have, because that's what we need. We need politicians who are true statesmen, who believe in fighting for the rights of the people and not for the power that they can gain or the money they can make. Too many of them have been bought by corporations or interests that will further their goals and not the goals of the people, not the things that are good for our country. We desperately need to get back to that, which is, of course, the things that our forefathers fought for and that are going down the drain. Our traditional values are not upheld anymore, and we need men who will, like Ted Cruz. I feel that he definitely represents that ilk of leadership that we need. If we could multiply his values, the things that he represents, the men that will speak out for those things, by as much as we can, maybe we can get this country back on track. So somebody like the man that you interviewed this morning, Conley, I think his name is. No, I would not trust him to go to him for. It's another ploy that the GOP has put out there. We can see that we cannot trust them anymore. It's a tragic. Well, maybe not tragic, but it's certainly regrettable that it's gotten to that point. But
all right, Lee. Well, listen, I am just about out of time here. I got to let you go. I appreciate your comments. Thank you for calling, and thank you for weighing in. And and I think that's going to be the challenge before Chad is for his engagement with the evangelical community to be substantive. So he's not just trying to buy us off, but genuinely responding to our needs.
President of CCHL.